why does the SEC hate Oklahoma?
You are Locked On Sooners, your daily podcast on the Oklahoma Sooners. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
The Oklahoma Sooners and the Alabama Crimson Tide will go to battle on Owen Field in prime time.
Prime time.
The SEC gave Oklahoma, Alabama, the ABC broadcast on prime time at 6:30 in week 13. And initially I looked at that and I'm like, dang it. How is the SEC going to do Oklahoma and Alabama like that? And then you look at the schedule and it's kind of cheeks. The only other game that I think they should have considered there was Vanderbilt LSU. And that one still could be in prime time. It's got that 6 to 8 p.m. window, but you could have put that one on ABC. You didn't have to do Oklahoma with the national broadcast there.
I understand it's historic. It's a game that, has, it's blue bloods, big names, guaranteed to get a massive draw. Even with Oklahoma sucking right now, it's guaranteed to get massive eyeballs. But man, why do they hate us so much, man? Why we got to keep getting this? Our schedule has been terrible. We get to play Alabama in prime time, so it's tough.
A red hot Alabama team, by the way. Like they're phenomenal right now.
Balling right now. Yes. A balling Alabama team coming to town. Game that we were all excited about. We circled. I got my tickets, and I'm just like, so does anybody else want to go to this game? No, I'm going to go. I'm going to go enjoy the night air and watch Alabama, Jalen Milroe do things that Jalen Milroe does. But yeah, there was really, I'm looking at it now. I'm like, ooh, woof.
There's going to be a lot of nervous energy inside Gaylord Family Oklahoma Memorial Stadium that night. Listen, and at the same time, bring it on. Either Oklahoma rises to the occasion or it's another devastating defeat. And we can just add that one to the list of things that went wrong this season. Listen, and when I say Oklahoma rising to the occasion, I'm not expecting them to beat Alabama. I'm not. But
I am.
Play a competitive football game. Sure. Jay's being sarcastic. You can't see it on the podcast. He's being sarcastic. Yeah. So not great, but at the same time, it's going to be a great atmosphere. It's going to be one of those college football atmospheres that you only get in the non-conference. And typically, when Ohio State came to town, when Tennessee would come to town, that's the environment you're going to get. It's just a shame that Oklahoma isn't living up to expectations, isn't going to be able to hold up its end of the bargain in this big time matchup of two blue blood programs. It's just a shame. Looking at the SEC weekend, Jay, what stood out to you from this past weekend?
Jalen Milroe rushed for 158 yards on 12 carries against LSU and only threw for 109. Like, he cooked that team single-handedly, all with his legs, and their defense was everywhere. LSU could not handle them, which really surprised me. I thought that they were a lot better than that, but it was not a good showing for them whatsoever. And so I expected that game to have been a lot closer than what it was. And I think it's always funny. We talk about, being at Death Valley at night, which, don't be surprised if the last game of the season is something similar, just because, luckily the Iron Bowl is going on, so that's probably the game they're going to give the nightcap. But so I expect us to be the 11 o'clock kickoff. Please be an 11 o'clock kickoff. Just get us over with, get it out. But at the same time, we want to hang out down there in Baton Rouge and enjoy the environment. But talking about nighttime in Death Valley and how terrifying it is and how it's a really tough environment, Alabama has always gone down there and dominated. That's basically what they do. So if there's anything, I think Alabama has more wins in Death Valley than LSU has wins against Alabama total.
Wow.
Or something crazy like that. It's like, wow, they go down there and win. And that's just kind of how it is. So it would have been nice for LSU to at least pinch them but it feels like that wasn't going to happen. What other game jumped out to you?
I mean, Ole Miss, you got to give Ole Miss credit.
Oh, you got to give them their flowers.
And Jackson Dart, I mean, they dominated Georgia, absolutely dominated them. You won by 18 points, held them to 10, and you were able to score. Like Ole Miss, I said it when they expanded the playoff. There were a couple teams I thought were going to benefit the most from playoff expansion. One of those was Penn State, because they were struggling to get by Ohio State and Michigan in recent years. Now they look pretty good this year, obviously a top 5 team in the country, but Ole Miss was the other one, because they would have great seasons, but struggle with an Alabama or a Georgia or an LSU and a Georgia, or, just like they'd lose 2 games to some really good teams and be out of the playoff situation. Now this year they lost to Kentucky, was one of their losses, but they've bounced back and had some really strong performances. And this one against Georgia, obviously this is not the same Georgia from the back-to-back national title winning seasons, or even the Georgia that we saw last year, but it's still a really good Georgia team. And so you got to give Ole Miss some credit for that. They absolutely put on a really, really strong performance that makes you think they could be a national title contender in this one. The other one is Tennessee. Like Tennessee may not be like just lighting things up and absolutely destroying people. They just keep winning. They're just winning football games. And that's putting them in a situation where they're on track to be an SEC title player. And they could be playing for the SEC title game here in a few weeks if they continue to do that.
Yeah, no, that's 100% true. And I agree. Ole Miss and Penn State were the two that got the biggest benefit, because their coaches, I think, are the exact same guy.
Yeah.
But the good thing for Ole Miss, this is their first win, their highest win against an AP ranked team in school history. So Lane Kiffin finally got that monkey off of his back. Now he's finally getting a signature W out there. Kind of crazy to me though. Georgia scored less points against Ole Miss than we did.
Stupid.
That makes me mad.
Yep, makes me mad. Remember, in our last 2 SEC games, Oklahoma held a lead at halftime. 14-10 against Ole Miss, 9-3 against Mizzou. And that's going to do it for today's episode of Locked On Sooners. We'll just finish it on a high note. Hope you enjoyed the show. Thanks for tuning in and subscribing to the show wherever you get your podcasts. We're free and available on all podcast platforms and on YouTube. So go hit that subscribe button and that notification bell. Just past 9,000 subscribers. So thank you so much for subscribing to the show over on YouTube. Help us get to 10,000. If you haven't hit that subscribe button, please do so and share it with your friends, your family. Tell them to listen to Locked On Sooners every single day.
Thanks for getting us to 9,000. We appreciate it.
Salute to you. Yep. Make sure you go follow Jay at Unfair Sports. Check out his channel, Unfair Sports, as well. Follow me at John9Williams and read my work covering the Sooners over at SoonersWire.com. Follow the show at Locked On Sooners on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter, wherever you like to do your social media stuff. We are there. But until next time, he's Jay Smith. I'm John Williams. Boomer.
Sooner.